from days of long ago. From uncharted regions of the universe comes a legend.
Hello YouTube! Today I've got something that's a bit overdue, in more ways than one. You see, Netflix just released, and by just I mean last month, an update, or a reboot if you will, of a small, rather insignificant 1980s cartoon series that most of you probably have never heard of, called Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Voltron, the original cartoon, is something that I grew up with, something that my family introduced me to at a very young age, and something that I stuck to like glue and stuck to me likewise. Of course, I am an absolute junkie for anything involving giant robots, but Voltron especially grew on me. With a deeper, grittier, harder-hitting story, Voltron caught me at a very specific point in my life and had a profound impact not only on my interests, but also my personal growth. Before we go any further into this video, however, I must warn any of you who are watching that this is going to be terribly spoilerific. So if you haven't seen the Netflix Voltron Legendary Defender series, please either go and do so now, or if you simply don't care, by all means, plow ahead. Legendary Defender certainly lives up to Voltron's 30-year legacy. While I wasn't too much of a fan, I was neither particularly happy nor particularly impressed with the Voltron 4 series that premiered on Nicktoons a while back. This new one certainly makes up for it and more. To begin with, there are some things about the story in this first season that I'd like to get off of my chest. First and foremost, the hot topic that is on everybody who has seen both of the old cartoon and the new cartoon's minds, Pidge. Legendary Defender's team certainly fleshed out Pidge's character and finally answered the age-old question as to her gender identity. That's right, folks. Pidge is a she. This is a development that they work very well into the storyline, as her family's background ties her not only to the Voltron Force, but also to Sarkon's invasion fleet. It's also worth noting that the amount of detail and attention that they paid to this twist instead of dropping it out of the blue made it all very natural feeling and worthwhile. Next up, of course, we have Sarkon himself. This new incarnation of Sarkon manages to be simultaneously both much less present than the old one and much more menacing. In addition, towards the end of this first season, it is heavily implied that Sarkon himself was once one of the Voltron Force and the original pilot of the Black Lion. This, when compounded with the introduction of the new Black Lion pilot, Shirogane, as Keith has been now given the Red Lion, really made Voltron Legendary Defender stand out to me on its own as what we now call Voltron. There was also a change to Princess Allura's identity. I'm not sure whether they fully intended to make Allura a person of color or not, but either way, it certainly works. Now armed with both a regal speaking accent befitting a princess and an overall physical appearance befitting a warrior queen, Allura was much more believable as the de facto leader of what are now called the Voltron Paladins, as opposed to the sometimes damsel in distress she was painted as in the original cartoon. That's not to say that Allura doesn't still run into her fair share of danger. In fact, look forward to the final episode of the first season if you want to see more of that. For the back half of this video, I also want to talk about Legendary Defender's art style. The visuals in this show are absolutely breathtaking, from the word go. It manages to come off as equal parts anime and western, pulling off the exact same feat that the original Voltron Defender of the Universe managed in the 1980s. That's not to say that it still looks like Defender of the Universe, however. The graphics have gotten a major overhaul, and everything that isn't a humanoid character has been animated in cel-shaded 3 dimensions to devastatingly beautiful effect. One of the things that particularly gripped me about the animation and the art was the attention to detail in absolutely every scene. There's a part near the beginning of the season where everybody ends up in a shack out in the desert owned by Keith. Immediately, you are effectively immersed in Keith's world via all of the items and personal effects laying about his home. And this is a trend that continues throughout the series for the relevant characters. To be sure, the only 2 characters that we aren't given that deep of a look at in Season 1 are Hunk and Lance, and as if it wasn't compelling enough already, they had to give us another reason to not be able to wait for Season 2. In fact, the only thing I'd say that I didn't enjoy about Voltron Season 1 was the cliffhanger ending that left me needing Season 2 in my life right now. So all in all, I would rate Voltron Legendary Defenders Season 1 a 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it, but it's still too early to tell for sure where they're going with it. However, if they continue in the same vein as they have been, we are for sure going to have another animated classic on our hands. So YouTube, those are my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours as always. Don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe, or tell a friend if you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.